Chair and planning staff, here to present the preliminary plat for Pegasus Second Edition. This is a staff report says a 44 lot residential subdivision. It is my understanding that they made some changes and added some reserves, so that 44 lots have been reduced to 42 lots. Next screen, please. Stormwater management received and approved the drainage plan on 6/21/24. Fire department comments, request verification of hydrant locations, requires for developments 1 to 2 family dwellings where number of dwelling units exceed 30 shall provide 2 separate and approved fire apparatus roads, and fire requires a dead end hammerheads to meet fire code, and states that the preliminary plat does not meet current fire code regulations. Item E, access controls are indicated along South Webb Road and East Pawnee Road. Traffic engineering approves the hammerheads, but will defer to fire department for sizing, and advises access controls and right-of-way have been previously approved and no changes have been made since the previous plat. GIS approves of street names. Item G, standard environmental health comment regarding irrigation wells. Item J, the plat has noted setbacks for 20 feet and 5 feet for interior side yards, which represents adjustment of zoning code of 35 and 50 for front setbacks and 6 feet for interior side setbacks for the MF 18 district. And item U, Evergy will not need to request additional easements at this time, and street lighting placement to be approved by traffic engineering. Stand for questions.
Mr. Aldridge?
Yes, sir. On the staff report, you state that the city fire department states that the preliminary plat does not meet the fire code requirements. Is that just because of the hammerhead, or are there other issues that the fire department
will
sees?
Defer to city fire on that.
Wichita Fire has been in communication with the engineer been in dialogue with him, and basically the reason why it didn't meet the code, because there's one entrance for a total over 30 lots, and the code requires to have two access points. He has shared the overall plat with me, and we've been discussing, so the comment on the sheet is not, it's okay, we'll be able to prove it from our conversations that we've had the past couple days.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Mr. Blick?
Sorry. Okay. Does it show that on this plat right now, or do we have one that's gonna be coming before us with an updated?
I will let him answer that from that standpoint.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any other questions? Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Applicant or agent?
Good morning, Will Clevenger with Garver here on behalf of the applicant. The existing subdivision plat is Pegasus Edition, and as you can see, it has a connection here to the north on Pawnee Street. It comes down through Goble to the south. Unfortunately, the screenshot here does not show how the street connects farther to south, but there are two other street connections to the west onto Webb Road. So there's three arterial street connections, and then these two streets that we are platting with our addition would connect to Goble Street. So our interpretation, speaking with fire, is that it now meets the requirements, and we're in agreement with staff comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of the agent? Guess not, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else present wanting to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move to approve with staff comments.
Second.
Got a motion approved by Mr. Zimbelman, second by Mr. Blick. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 6-0. Item number 6, with subdivision 2024-00033.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present Reber Second Edition. Next screen, please. This is actually a sketch plat, so a reminder that this plat will come before this board again at a later date as a preliminary plat or a one-step plat. So sketch plat is just an initial review, just to get initial comments, so the agent and applicant have some guidance of any comments that may be needed as they go through the process. So like I stated, this is for, next screen, please. And then the next screen. This sketch plat as seen on the screen. Like I said, this is for a 134 lot residential subdivision located within county currently. But the applicant has indicated that they will file a petition to be annexed into the city of Wichita. Go through some waivers that may be needed. First one is it appears that there are several lots that will need a waiver from the lot depth to width ratio. And the second waiver that will be needed is a street connection off of the adjacent subdivision to the west, off of Wyndham Street, which is the street right here. So the ordinance would require a street connection to connect up to this existing Wyndham Street. Go through staff comments. Public Works requires water and sanitary sewer to all lots. Fees are due. Additional easements may be requested after utility plan has been reviewed. Coordinate with engineering about capacity and depth of sanitary sewer. Item C, I had been advised that a drainage plan has been submitted, at least a preliminary plan for the subdivision has been submitted to city stormwater management. City fire request verification of proper hydrant locations. City fire requires developments 1 and 2 family dwellings where a number of dwelling units exceeds 30 shall provide 2 separate approved apparatus access roads. City fire requires dead end to meet cul-de-sac turnaround specifications, and city fire requires type 2 curbs, traffic calming islands. Item E, Public Works approves of the access openings. Item F, GIS will need to approve of street names at the time of the preliminary plat approval. Item G, standard environmental health comment regarding irrigation wells. And item U, Evergy has reviewed the sketch plat and will wait for preliminary one-step to finalize their comments or easements needed. I stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Any questions from the commission? Not advisory board members?
Greg, I thought we received a revised sketch plat that was different from what's shown on the screen. Is that correct?
This, I believe this is last. Okay, I will let the applicant.
No,
Yeah.
well,
the agent. Okay.
so yes, Phil Meyer with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant 315 Ellis. With me here today is Jay Russell, the developer of this property. I'm sure he'll help me through this presentation if I misspeak somewhere. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have the revised sketch on that we can throw up. So, do subdivision committee members and staff members have the revised sketch plat in your possession?
Phil, for the sake of everyone here, if you could describe at least some of the higher level differences
Yep.
between what we're seeing, that would help us determine if we've got the revised one.
So this was the original we turned in, and this was going to be a private street. And we were making no connection, neither one makes a connection, but we were not making a connection to the west, and this was a private street that we were building. Since then, there's a revised sketch where the road comes in this way, comes down and ties into here and loops back around as a public street. And then we have a little bit of a private street that comes around this way with a cul-de-sac. In that, right here, we provided a reserve for a pedestrian access to this street right away, but we were not connecting to that street right away. And so if we need to print copies of this, I can provide it to Greg.
Hey, Phil, what we'll do, I'm sorry, I just wanted to get a sense on whether or not we've got it. For the committee members, it appears that we do have the most recent one in your packets, or that you've got it available at the table. I want to check with the utility committee. They do not. Okay. The version that is posted online is your most recent version. So, Greg, Phil, I'll get the copy from you and I'll run copies of it right now.
Yeah, the magic's working while you're talking, I think, so we'll see. So, Chairman, do you want me just to wait a minute?
Please.
All right. We're back on screen. The magic has happened. So,
Phil, does any other advisory board members have any comment on this before he talks?
Rondi with Evergy. The only comment I have is Kevin wanted to indicate that because we're going forward with trying to get front lot access, that we would probably on the preliminary or one-step final, whichever is later introduced in a future date, we would want 15 to 20 up front so that we could put equipment there, and they'll work with the applicant.
Thank you.
Lee Carmichael, Traffic Engineering. We'll probably want a traffic calming elements along the west public street. Just looking at it real quick. And we'll work with the agent to work that out.
Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Philip, but kind of got off track a little bit.
It's fine. Are we ready? Or you want me to wait for Scott? I'll wait for Scott to come back.
That way everybody's got a copy of the same thing. I do want to comment that, these two plats today didn't use up all the alphabet. That's the first time I've seen that in a long, long, long time. I like it.
Thank you. So I think there's only a couple comments that we would like to discuss out of the staff report today. The waivers number 2, as I mentioned earlier, between our first sketch and the revised sketch, we did not make a connection to the street stub on the subdivision to the west of us. We did provide a reserve for pedestrian access easement at that location. Mr. Russell's been talking a lot about with connectivity, the impact that adjacent property has on his development, and we're gonna point out vice versa, that if we make that street connection, we are impacting these landowners that have lived here for 20+ years. We did this plat for Don Scott years ago. There are 2 street connections on the development to the west. There's an opening here and a little further west, so this subdivision has 2 openings to Central. Our proposed plat is going to have 2.5 openings, 3 openings to Central. So we've got plenty of connectivity to Central for fire and emergency access to get in and out of the development. We would like and request you approve this today without the street connection at this location. And Chief O'Cades may need to help me. If I go to the fire department comments, the top one on the second page, city fire requires development. Oh, that's the 30 lot rule there, which we can work through that. We've got plenty of connectivity on this one. The second one on the dead end to meet cul-de-sac turnarounds, I'm not sure specifically if you're talking about the street stub that is left to the west or if you're seeing that on our layout.
They're just a standard comment on the requirements to meet those cul-de-sac turnaround dimensions.
Okay. And I think we've been meeting your turnaround requirements, so I don't see that being an issue with this plat. So I think our one item to discuss today is the street connection to the west. And before I stop, you want to add anything? You good for now?
Any questions of the agent?
Yes, sir.
So this property is pretty elevated right here in the center. And then I know you guys are probably gonna reduce the grade, so it's all flat. Is that true, do you think?
Well, we got 60 foot of drop across that site and we're gonna have to deal with it in site development. We can't level the whole site, but
Right.
that thing is going, as we go east, we're going to have to deal with the grade change that is occurring.
So it has a natural barrier over here on this east side. And then the water comes in from underneath the Turnpike Authority into that. Will that change any of that? Because if you're gonna reduce that grade, will that make that floodplain now come in further because of the natural barrier from that grade?
No, so what the subdivision committee members talking about is KDOT right-of-way drains water onto this property and it's happening at this location right here. And we're allowing that to continue to happen as we go through here. There's going to have to be some permitting, a little bit minor permitting with the floodplain, but we're not going to change the drainage flow, natural drainage flow that is occurring today. We have to accept that water. And
So do you see that like lots 75 to 69 could be affected with that? If there's an excess of water and you're reducing that grade, where right now there's a natural barrier of a 60-foot drop, will that actually make any issues or anything in the future? Do you see?
We see I have no concerns about being able to put houses on 69 through 75.
Okay.
I mean, we do have to address the flow and the grade change, but we're not concerned about being able to
Okay.
get it worked out.
You guys are the experts. I just observing that and I see
Yeah.
the water flow. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you, Philip. Anybody else here want to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we approve the sketch plat, including any waiver requirements per staff recommendations and comments and other comments made.
Second.
And that motion has to do with not eliminating the entrance to the west.
That's correct.
I got a motion by Mr. Aldridge, second by Mr. Blick. Any discussion?
My biggest concern was at first that sub-street but then they do have a pedestrian access way through here. In the future, I know that we've been seeing a lot of cases and we put sub-streets and then all of a sudden we're not gonna connect to them or not connect to them. I think we need to get a better understanding from staff if this is gonna be the way of the future. Because if a subdivision develops and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 years later, we don't see anything, or 5 years, and then all of a sudden we keep doing this, do we even need to have the developer have to put these substreets? Or is it a fire concern or something? But we just need to get some clear understanding on this in the future.
Well, and what I would comment on is I think there's multiple aspects to that. Number one, there's an interrelationship with other codes beyond just the subdivision regulations, like you pointed out, like fire code. There's also there's a policy here too, in terms of a community preference. Does the community want to have these connections or not have these? And then the third thing is, what are the technical ramifications from either having more connections or having fewer connections? And there are trade-offs with all of those. So I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's what's the best fit for the community. And so we can give you information on it, but we're gonna look to you all for what's the best fit to the community. And I think that's been part of the debate and dialogue and discussion and decisions that have been being made, at least while I've been here over the past 4 years, is wrestling with that idea of really what is the best fit for the community. And multiple people have different perspectives on that. And ultimately, we're gonna look to you all to help provide the recommendation about what that is, what it should be.
Thank you.
I think basically there's gonna be requirements now. The reason there's a planning commission is we look at options when we're looking at different locations, different situations. One thing don't fit all of them, so that's why there's a planning commission. So I appreciate you looking to us, so. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 6-0. Any other business to come before us? If not, happy 4th. We're adjourned.